last week of renunciation, and we're moving on. Enough about renunciation. Yeah, renunciation's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. It's a tough one for me. I don't like the word. I don't like the concept. I don't like to let go. I don't like to let go, you know? And I know that's a big part of the story. It's a big part of the Dharma, is taking a look at what we don't want to let go of, what we're holding on to, what we're clenching, what we're clutching, what we're holding on to so tightly, and how that contributes to our own distress, even though we would rather not look into that so much. You know, I mean, there's something so fundamental about it, and so like, oh, isn't there something fancier that I can look into? So I want to look into something more subtle than that. I'm interested in truth, not renunciation. I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Yeah. So there's a lot of resistance around renunciation, and then there's a lot of overdoing it with renunciation. It's the two extremes. I'm not going to, either indulgence or shoulds. On the other hand, okay, it's time for me to, now I'm going to let go. Now I'm going to make a New Year's resolution. Now I'm going to put my foot down. I'm not going to do this anymore. And how does that work out? It doesn't work out so well either. Then there's this white knuckling. Sometimes there's a holier than thou thing. Now I've stopped doing this. Now everybody should stop doing this. We can get into a lot of dramas around renunciation that only complicate the situation more. And what's really hard is to find the right balance around renunciation, and a sense of pacing and appropriateness. It's like, oh, it's time. So that it's organically actually time to let something go, because either we've seen into it enough, we've looked into it, we've read enough data, we've felt into it enough. It's just time. It's time because we've experienced it. It's time to let go. It's time to let go of some of what we've been in denial around. For me, it's around some attitudes. And some are a little bit easier than others. For all of us, we're all different this way. For a while, I was in denial around this idea. That's one of the old expressions. There's tremendous truth to it. That we are what we are. We are what we eat. No, we're not what we are. We're not what we eat. But we are what we eat. Susan and I learned that one early on because we both lost our most important parent when we were 20 years old. And a lot I know from my dad was, we didn't know about diet in those days. He had a terrible diet. And he smoked the kind of cigarettes that doctors recommended at that time, which was Camels, unfiltered preferably. And I learned early on, well, I think we are what we eat. And I'm going to try to put some attention to that. And it's been part of a life path. Part of my path, is eating well and, taking more care with that and honoring that we are what we eat in a way that my dad didn't know enough to, and the data wasn't in enough, But we all get into trips around food, don't we? I mean, that's why diets don't work, because there's too much should. Oh, there's too much intensity. There's too much intensity. There's not a real balance around food. We either indulge or we deny. We indulge or we deny. Yeah. It's the two extremes of renunciation that get us into more dukkha, that actually increase more dukkha. Yeah, more dukkha. Yeah. For me, there are two areas in attitudinally that are really part of my renunciation practice now. Yeah, yeah. One of them is, oh my gosh, I can't see anymore up close here. What the most important one? Now let me speak about the most important one for me. It's renouncing my denial around the heavenly messengers. It would seem they seem so obvious in a way, the heavenly messengers, that of course we're going to get sick, of course we're going to grow old, and of course that we're going to die. But they're not obvious at all at a deep level to us. I remember reading a Zen master, well, who went out did a long retreat, and he came back, and his students gathered around, and they wanted to know what his great insight was during his retreat. Yeah. And they gathered around, and they were looking for some, fancy insight, something really subtle, or some really deep truth. And he said, "Yeah, this is my deep insight. We're all going to die, but none of us live as if that were true." And I remember it was such an important moment for me reading this a long time ago. I was like, we're all going to die, but none of us live as if that were so. And I realized that was true for me as well. Well, I didn't live as if that were so. In fact, the opposite. I thought, in fact, this is how they connect. If I ate really well and exercise and take vitamins, there was an underlying sense there that would, I'll be able to at least slow down that process, or it'll be like a who knows, maybe I can live forever. Not really, but I never wanted to look closely or really feel into the truths behind these, what I call the existential unavoidables of old age, sickness, and death. And I wasn't ready to. I'm not sure we can look into them closely. I've had a lot of people die in my life, and I had some very early losses, including my father, who died when I was 19. That didn't help me come to terms with the fact that I'm going to die. Not at all. What helped me start to let go of that denial was getting older. What has started to help me let go of the denial of growing older was growing older. What helped me start to let go of getting sick is getting sick more. And a few things starting to break down a little bit, despite my best efforts. And it's like, oh, I see. I too am going to get sick. I too am going to grow older. I too have to stop denying in subtle ways that I'm not going to die. I have to renounce my denial. What does that mean? What it means is I have to start appreciating more the smaller moments. I have to stop imagining tomorrow's going to be a better day than today. It's just something else that's going to be better than this. That this is pretty good. It's more around the subtle ways of not fully appreciating what's happening now. The thing about idealism, the thing about our aspirations, I have to stop imagining that there'll be a day when I'll never have I'll never be irritated for another moment, where I'm going to be kind every single moment of my life, where I'm never going to be careless again, where I'm never going to be whatever, fill in the blanks, where I'm never going to have another moment when I'm not mindful. The thing about our idealizations is that they keep us from fully inhabiting today, from fully inhabiting this moment, as if it doesn't get better than this. I'm finally starting to believe that it doesn't get better than this. That's the other side. That's the other side of this, you know. It's like, this is it. And for my whole life, I've still managed to imagine that this is not it quite. It's almost it. It's pretty good. But it can be better. I can be better. I must be better. I should be better. Someday I'll be better. You know? The problem with that is that when there has been a small slip in that, when I've been a little careless, a little unkind, then I judge myself. You spilled the milk again, buddy. You dropped the ball again. And so there's still been a harsh voice connected with the lack of being perfect. You see, I need to renounce that voice too. I need to stop slapping myself when I'm not perfect. You know, it all kind of ties together that way. Idealizations get us in trouble, and they keep us from going easy on ourselves, and from it doesn't mean my aspiration to be kind needs to go away, on the other hand, but it's like easy does it. It's the easy does it. And it's more fully inhabiting what's going on now. You know, it seems so simple for me to say this, you know, to say, you know, it really is coming down to this. Being more generous with myself in the present moment, being more generous with others in the present moment. We're all going to die. We're all, you know, let's get with the program here. Bill, get with the program more fully. And stop pretending you're going to be here forever, that you're going to be perfect. You know, those, all the ways that those idealizations, those attachments, you know, it's time for me to renounce those more, you know, more fully. That becomes a practice. That's not just an idea, it's a practice. You know, it's a practice. It's a practice. So, yeah, the heavenly messengers, I've never wanted to look. The Buddha said we should look into those every day. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I like a lot of your teachings, Buddha, but no, thank you. No, thank you. I was very attached to not growing old, to not getting sick, to not dying, and to not ever being separated from those I'm near and dear with. I'm not looking into those every day. No, thank you. Now I look into those every day because I'm ready, because it's not like I have to force myself to do it any longer. It's like they've become, the universe has made them completely clear to me. So renunciation, there's a pacing to renunciation as well, as what I'm saying. We can't force ourselves to renounce something or to look at something or to let go of something before we're ready. And then there can be a little bit more grace and a little bit more humility in our renunciation and a little less judgment. when we drop the ball, when we fail to meet our, our ideals, we can accept ourselves more fully and enter our lives more fully. Yeah, gradually. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, this whole month has been powerful for me around renunciation. I haven't really wanted to deal with it at all. It's one of the hardest things for me. It's one of the hardest things for me. And this, among all the things, this is the hardest. This business about the heavenly messengers and my denial around all of that. That is still, there's been some holding on there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, oh, so I share that for your reflection this morning. Okay.